Welcome back to my YouTube series where I exclusively rip off other content creators and YouTube personalities while playing a dinosaur game. It's the new year! This last year sure was pretty crazy. I'll be honest, the last 4 years have all kind of blurred together in my head. 2020 kind of feels like it just happened yesterday, which is why I generated this AI image of Donald Trump and Joe Biden having a rousing debate about transgender politics while everyone around them dies of a horrible plague to commemorate the time when that actually happened. Time sure does fly. Speaking of flying,
Okay, so to start things off, right away, when you spawn as this guy, you're going to notice the controls are very similar in terms of the way you move. It's all pretty much exactly the same as every other flyer in the game. However, in terms of the way it, feels to walk around and to fly around as this guy, you're going to notice a lot of differences very quickly from both the Thalassodromeus and the Quetzalcoatlus mod, which is what a lot of people are probably going to be comparing this to. Both the Thalassodromeus and, I would say, the Quetzalcoatlus feel very snappy and fast on the ground, right? They're both pterosaurs, they're very light, that's probably how they should feel, whereas the Hatzegopteryx, you're gonna immediately feel that it's very slow and sluggish to respond. It can run and get up to a considerable speed on the ground. I think it can actually run faster than the Thalassodromeus while on the ground, but the acceleration, the time it takes to go from walking to running, is far longer. Very, very exaggerated acceleration time. Taking off from the ground can also be difficult. You have to be at a full sprint in order to take off properly, which means that long acceleration period is going to hinder you somewhat, especially if you're trying to get out of a situation very quickly. So that's something you're going to have to keep in mind while playing this guy. Oh, God. Hypnos? Yeah, no. I'm getting away from this. Oh, God. I'm stuck. Get away. Run. Run faster. Run faster than not at all. Get up in the air. Get up in the air! What the heck? Flying with this guy is about the same. You're going to notice some differences in terms of the way it moves and how fastly it accelerates while you're in the air as well. Kind of like you do on the ground, but it's not as big of a deal. It's not that noticeable. It still feels pretty good, right? You can still get up to speed really quickly by swooping. However, when you swoop, you can't do it like you could with the other ones. You have to be a lot more careful, a lot more shallow in terms of the down angles you take. You can't just nosedive into the ground like you do with the Thalasso and pull up at the last second, because you will not be able to pull up in time. Your arc will not let you pull out of a complete nosedive. One other comparison to be made to the Thalassodromeus is the fact that this guy cannot fly out of water. It also cannot swim into the water. It doesn't have a dive ability. This is not a semi-aquatic creature. So if you touch the water, you're kind of screwed. For our abilities, we have the default peck, which, based on the description, it will give you back a certain amount of stamina for each attack that you land. I don't know how much stamina it gives back, because it's also really, really slow to cool down. So I pretty much dumpstered that attack immediately, because there is a way better option, which we'll see in a minute. The Piercing Bite is another attack, which I didn't end up using at all, because based on the description, it seems like it's very similar, if not identical, to the Daspletosaurus's version of this attack, which means it's good in very specific situations, like going up against like a Stego or an Anki, or maybe you use that while you're growing up because everything's heavier than you then. But again, this is another attack that I think is going to get overshadowed by another attack that we're going to see in a minute. The grab ability is one that I was really excited to try out when I realized that it was available for the Hatzegopteryx. Alright. Alright. Which one of you doesn't have it? You don't! Bye. Good luck. Unfortunately, I have to say, it's basically useless the way it exists in the game currently for two pretty simple reasons. One, the windup is way, way too slow. This is something that the developers clearly did on purpose because they anticipated that it would be unbalanced for it to not have a windup. However, I think they kind of missed the mark and made it very, very hard to use the way you're supposed to use it, because the things that you can grab are already incredibly hard to hit anyway, because of the pre-existing problems with small creatures in this game being too fast for the game itself to keep up with. It's not letting me. And two, the second reason being everything is wearing slick scales. This is a problem that you probably saw coming if you've been playing the game at all in the last couple months since the Pounce update, but slick scales and slick feathers, whenever available, are far and away the best hide options whenever they exist, right? There's no reason not to wear them, so everyone does. So you're never going to get a chance to pick anything up, because everything that you could pick up, you can't anymore. They've just turned off that ability for you. This is something that they're going to be changing soon, I've heard. I've heard talks that they're going to be changing the way Slick Scales works, and that they're going to make it so that you can still pick up things or latch onto things. You just drain stamina way quicker on those creatures that have that ability equipped, but we'll see. Until then, there's no point in having the grab. I had the grab in all of my footage simply for testing purposes, but if I were ever to play this creature again, I would not use the grab. The Peck Barrage attack is easily the best attack that this creature has available to it. It's very similar to the Suko's Claw Barrage attack. Key difference being it does not specify the number of times that the amplifying effect can stack, and I don't know if I've seen the maximum number. I may have to test that out further, but the highest number I saw was at least 8, which means this attack is capable of dealing devastating amounts of damage very quickly. Dude. There he goes, baby! That's what I'm talking about, baby! That's how we do it down here! That's how we do it up here, man! I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know why why Hatseg Island is like Manhattan now. The Wing Beat attack is quite possibly my favorite ability that this thing has. I know I spent a lot of time hyping up the Peck Barrage, and by all accounts that is a better attack and more important attack to have, but the Wing Beat is just so much fun. It's just way more fun, and there's way more weird opportunities for you to use this in a fun way, right? It's a knockback attack, similar to the thing the Quetz has, but this one faces forward, so it's way easier to hit. And you can use it mid-air. That is the big, huge difference between the Quetz and this guy, is that this guy can knock people around in mid-air, mid-flight. It can knock around other pterosaurs mid-flight, which means you'll end up launching things directly into the ground or into a tree and causing them to take massive amounts of, like, fall flight damage. Which is just insane. It's just insane, and it is ridiculously fun, and I hope it never changes. I hope that this never gets nerfed, because it's not ridiculously overpowered. It's just very select scenarios where you can, like, use it to that advantage, right? Use it that way. But it's just so devastating when it does happen. I love it so much. It's so much fun. Love this attack. I don't know how I did that. He was an adult. How did that just happen? I used my Wing Beat attack when I did that. The one that does the knockback, because you can do that in midair as well, it seems. The rest of the abilities are fine. They're not nearly as important as the key ones that I mentioned already, so just kind of pick whichever one you feel like whenever you're doing it. You can't really go wrong with any of them. While the Hats is overall very fun to play right now, I feel like it's a little bit confused in terms of the design philosophy behind it, if that makes any sense. It feels like the type of creature it should be most well suited to going after is the exact creature that is most suited to going after the hats, right? Small, fast creatures that are hard to hit. Feels like this thing suffers a lot against those, and this was supposed to be like its bread and butter. You know, this is like the thing that it's supposed to be good at eating almost exclusively, right? And instead, you're actually a lot better going after middle-sized herbivores and carnivores, like things that are Albi, Suko, Aloe size, almost. Things that you can hit definitively and just spam your Peck Barrage attack on. Seems like that's what you're kind of tuned for, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Before I forget, there are a couple of actual bugs with this creature right out of the gate to mention. For one thing, sprinting is a little finicky. I'm not just talking about the acceleration, which I mentioned before. I mean that during that acceleration, you might just stop running, right? It seems to me like it's the game just skipping a frame or two, and that just ruining your whole momentum because you're going so slow that you just restart the running cycle. I have a sneaking suspicion that this problem has just been lying under the hood of the game the whole time, and we just haven't noticed it because no other creature has this slow of an acceleration time. So skipping a frame or two doesn't take away its momentum, and it can just go right back into the normal run animation. Another pretty obvious one is the grab. Currently can be used mid-flight. This shouldn't be a huge deal because the grab is so hard to land anyway that I don't think anyone's going to get got by that. But still, it's something that the developers clearly did not want to be the case, so I'm surprised that it made it through anyway. Raptors also seem to have this way of grabbing onto you from the front, and based on the way it looks, I don't think that it was intended at all. It looks very bad and glitchy. It gives me Modern Warfare 2 2009 on the PS3 vibes of just time distortion, Matrix, like vision powers that these Raptors are having. I just think the hitbox is messed up, quite honestly. I'd show you footage, but in case you couldn't guess by the visuals you've been seeing for the past minute or two, I'm kind of running out of steam editing this, so I kind of just want to wrap this up and get back to playing a little bit and enjoying my holiday.
Thank you for watching to the end of my YouTube program. As a token of my appreciation for staying to the end of this YouTube video, I'd like to share with you this JPEG of Alfred Molina, which I've been staring at for the past 12 minutes. I hope it inspires you and makes you excited for the next Spider-Man 2 video, which will come out next year, which I haven't edited yet. But I'd also like to share with you another photo I made in anticipation of the new year. It's this one, of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, calmly debating which Middle Eastern country we should invade in 2025, while a volcano explodes in the background. Some things never change. Happy New Year, everybody. Now get out of my house!
Villain. His agenda is clear. Ending this year with dividends to spare here. It's not meant for the seeing. Went through the ceiling after entering his center being.